the Charlie Kirk shooting, Mormon wives, anyone who's doing something different is changing the collective identity. It's changing the matrix around the church. It's changing the matrix around the thoughts, the Charlie Kirk thing, because they're choosing to do things differently, which is what I think a lot of the people in the Bible did and the prophets. They had the courage to do it differently and change the whole system, the whole matrix frequency.
This is so special because we were just talking about, it's been almost 5 years since we've been on a legit podcast together. And this has been such a fun journey. So Miss Paige, welcome back to the podcast.
So happy to be here. We both are fire. And so when our fires come together, it's powerful. And I like that today, the topics that we're getting into and having the fire of Christ being lit for anyone who feels called to come around our fire and our perspective and just reigniting something that they know deep within on some level and just being reminders of the highest truth. So I'm super excited. Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. I agree. I think we just kind of organically started talking about some of the things that we were feeling, and I've kind of felt this revival within myself after the Charlie Kirk assassination and like after some other crazy things that have been going on. Like, my soul has been so stirred to get back on the mic to just speak about things that I know bring true joy and happiness. And so we were kind of talking about that stir and how we fulfill that spirituality in our lives in different ways, which is so beautiful because I think we both have things that people can relate to. And so what's like stirring in your soul right now?
Well, you mentioned the Charlie Kirk thing, and I think that's definitely a potent topic to get into. And I made a post on Instagram because everyone was just freaking out, and they're still holding so much duality of like, how could people be like celebrating a death? And then the other side is like, how could this man be saying this and making us feel judged? And his way is so like this and cutthroat, So there's just so many extremes in it. And I just made a post from like a higher eagle perspective of like, well, from a spiritual standpoint, which I mostly live in the heavenly cosmic realm. I'm physically here on earth, but I'm very much a celestial being. And so I'm like, well, from a godly, spiritual, high perspective, I think things are predestined and pre-planned, and souls are like, yeah, I'll go down there because I have the ability and the strength to ruffle feathers and to speak the truth, and I will. And then, I'll die and I'll wake people up. Like, I'll do this for the globe. I'll do this to wake people up. Like, yeah, send me down, God. We'll do it. So I believe that it was predestined on a spiritual level. And have you watched the near-death experiences where they have the life review? And they're always like, you always have a life review and you always kind of map it out with God, like what you want to learn and what you want to do. Like, and you're co-creating it with God. So it's beautiful. And I had a lot of people be like, that perspective brought me so much peace. I'm like, yeah, because his wife signed up for that. Charlie Kirk signed up for that. And his mission was so big. And at the end of the day, I think that was such a big moment in time because it's bringing together two extremes, right? Like, you have the extreme liberals and then you have the extreme conservatives, but they're all wanting the same thing. They're all wanting acceptance and they're all wanting love, right? And so I think it was a wake-up call of like, okay, death. Like, now we're killing each other. That doesn't feel good in the body. Like, that brings up so much polarity and duality, and that's what we're trying to heal. So like, it's getting people thinking differently. It's creating new neural pathways in the brain. It's them being like, I have to think differently, and do I want to keep perpetuating this cycle that we don't want to live in anymore? So
Yeah.
I think the whole Charlie Kirk thing woke people up to get people thinking differently, hopefully feeling differently, and seeing the bigger picture.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love all of that. And it's really true because you have I mean everyone, maybe is just kind of like stuck in their opinion, but when you are getting to that point where human life is just dismissed and it really kind of like shook people up, and if and I think that's the calling that I felt was to kind of just like man up to step into the role that I signed up for, which is to help guide people through this process of life and kind of help to understand some of these spiritual concepts. And so I just have felt this huge I don't know, like I have to like step into my power and kind of learning to step up into my role and be fearless like that because people are like starving for more, for something. And whether that is Christianity or not, I think it just woke up, like you said, like to the point where we're killing people to solve our problems. It's not really going to get us anywhere. And so I think everyone's kind of taken a step back and, it's like I believe there is this force of evil and a force of good. And so I think everybody here is essentially good, but we just like we need to learn to come together through our differences, and I think that was just like one of the things that Charlie stood for. So it's like talking about things and just kind of getting back down to this level of humanity where we can have a conversation. So many of my friends, like, we don't see eye to eye on every, specific little thing, but it's just like when you view someone as a person, it just changes your perspective. And so I think there's so much technology out there and being on social media, it really that duality is heightened because you're not dealing with true human contact because when when you really do talk to someone, it's different. I've heard people say, "Oh, I get these really mean and nasty comments," and then I'll respond and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I actually didn't mean it. I was just like having a bad day." And so I think when we have this human to human contact and communication, it really does soften people's hearts.
Absolutely. And I think this is a great segue into kind of going into my story and kind of the difference of like you and I have been friends for so long. And I think when we first met, I mean, I was more of like a hippie liberal. I was never in politics. But
Right.
I thought very differently, and then 2020 hit, there was a huge earthquake in Utah. Ever since then, I've been dreaming every night. A white dove flew right in front of my truck so bluntly that same day. Like, that event just vibrated something into the collective, and same as the Charlie Kirk shooting. So, I do wanna say ever
Mhm.
since the Charlie Kirk shooting, he did inspire me to step into my purpose because he was younger than us.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
I kinda wanna be savage like Charlie Kirk, and so that did wake something up in me, but we've stayed friends even in the differences of our thoughts and our opinions, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, everything's always changing, so then I'm like, "Oh, Chelt, I apologize. I was thinking this way, but you were just staying in your truth and letting me communicate my opinions." But then with time, I'll integrate with where you're coming from, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry." So sometimes it just takes time and the grace and the space for people to just kind of be them and go on their journey of consciousness and beliefs, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so much beauty in like what you think has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Why would I let the way you think affect me? Because it's your head having to hit the pillow. If you have these certain beliefs, that's only creating drama and war within yourself. Unless you let someone's opinion affect you.
Right.
That's on you and me. That's like, that's our own accountability for ourselves and our energies. I just love that we've always been able to like learn and grow from each other. And I love it when we do come together. And that's when we're like, we need to make a podcast. Cause I'm like, yeah, I'm coming from this perspective.
Yeah.
You're coming from here, but we're saying the same thing. And I think it's a good segue of we both grew up Mormon.
Yeah.
And I've never been really religious. I've always believed in God. I've always been devout in prayer and faith, but I was never really, like, in it. So I
Right.
easily graduated from high school and just fluttered, like, to Buddhism and other ways of thought, like, pretty easily. I wasn't, like, traumatized of, like, "But I went through the temple," and, like, then I had all this anger. I never
Yeah.
really went through that. Went through my journey, and then 2020 had to come to Jesus, and now I do follow the principles and Jesus, I do. But I just love how different we are in that and how there's a lot of people coming to Jesus in their own way.
Yes.
But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they have chosen to humble themselves enough to allow that Jesus has these certain laws and ways that make life so much easier, way less
Yeah.
chaotic, way less stressful. It's like if the little kids just like eat whenever, go to sleep whenever, it's just pure chaos. The structure of Christ is so peaceful in my life, especially having walked on the dark side. It's so obvious to me, but it looks so different in that and how, I'm not going to church every Sunday. I'm not taking the sacrament. I'm very intrigued with the temple, but it's just a knowing that like I'm a Christ follower and there is a simplicity and a beauty to that. And everyone's practicing in their own ways and everyone's like going through their own flow. But when you sent me a polo and you were like, Paige, I just want you to know, like, I love how you've always just done it your own way. And like, it's not about going to church. It's not about doing these things, like, but you've like held on to it and it in your own way, but you're living the Christed way. And I think that's so cool. And so ever since we talked about that this summer, I'm like, thank you. Thanks. Because I don't want to be feeling shame or guilt because I'm not doing it a certain way and I think that's the beauty of us coming together. It's like, hey, come gather around the fire. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how you're dancing, but we're dancing with around the same potent energy we call God or we call Christ,
Yes. Yes.
you
Oh my
know?
gosh, I love that. And, like, even though I've been, like, a pretty devout, member my whole life, I think I was like a robot for a lot of it, just like out of habit, like going to church and doing things until I went through my own like personal hell. I didn't know how to call upon those like principles that are taught in the gospel to help me get through hard times. I feel like things were so easy in a sense. But also I think growing up here in California, I mean, like, I had to battle people were like, "No, you're not Christian," and all these things, so I learned to be friends with people, and, like, even though sometimes we could not bring up religion or anything, but we had the same morals, the same values, the same everything, and that's why we became good friends, and same thing with you and I, and so I think I kind of just gained more and more perspective, even though I have some beef with the culture of the LDS Church and things, and how there's so many things that could be different, and they're working on them. So even though I've kind of like stayed the course, I have just kind of had like my quiet, discovery of like, hey, what is like the core of this? Like why am I in this? And it goes back to my relationship with God, my relationship with Jesus Christ, because you and I have both had supernatural experiences to where like that's in our hearts. That is aligned with who we are, and you just feel that. And so I think no matter where you're at with religion or spirituality, once you like feel something, just start tapping into that, because I think there's so many people who are even going to church that just like don't get it. No matter what church that is, it's like they understand, they like the community or whatever, but I have this fire in my soul to help people understand the why. Why are we doing this? What is it? Some of the things that you were talking about earlier just reminded me of, yeah, we this makes your life easier and things because we have this divine design. And so when we live, even like physically and things, we have this divine order on how our bodies operate, how the sun comes up and goes down every day. And when we sync ourselves up and align with that, no matter if you believe in God or not, that's our reality is there are these physical elements of being on earth that we have to deal with and all of these truths. And so I think that's what the core of Smile is because it just one, it saved my life realizing, okay, I am in the pit of depression. I don't want to be on this earth anymore at my but I also know I'm supposed to be here and there's something more I need to do. And so you met me pretty soon after kind of starting to climb out of that. And we bonded over similar stories of having to find our ways. And so it's just kind of this light and this truth that we've found, even though maybe on the outside it looks different. In the core of it, we know who we are. We know we have a mission here on this earth. And I think it brings us both joy to share and teach other people those same concepts, no matter what it looks like in a religion or not.
There's so many points I wanna hit. Well, this keeps coming up because people being like, "Oh, you're not a Christian." It's like, "Okay,
Mm,
but that's because your ego is stuck on it looking like this box." But I would say, and after doing my own studying, because when I did come back to Christ, it made me obviously be curious about other religions. Well, okay,
yeah.
there's so many different types of Christianity. There's so many. I grew up Mormon. Okay. So I'm going and I'm studying all these things, what they believe. And I came from the New Age. I came
Yeah.
deeply, deeply from the New Age, and I had core beliefs of, like, I am not shaking on the fact that I know that there was a pre-life and an afterlife, and I know that we are becoming a god. Like, I
Mhm.
really hung on to that, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm now a Christian, but I believe we are becoming gods." Like, it makes sense to me, and I hold that so, like, I'm not budging on that. Try to convince me I'm not. And so then I'm studying Mormonism, it's like, "Well, we believe we're becoming gods." And I'm like, "Okay." So after all this studying, and I might get super controversial, but I really like to do that, my spirit likes to do that,
Yeah.
is I think that Mormonism is a lot, it's very new agey,
Yes.
but they've humbled themselves to the laws of Christ. But if you get into the mysticism, the deep mysticism of Christianity and Mormonism, I mean, the New Agers are talking about the stones and the crystals and the energy of it. Okay, well, Joseph Smith had a stone. The
Yeah.
people say
Yeah.
maybe Joseph Smith, like, found mushrooms in and he was on mushroom, it doesn't matter, but, like, if you get to it, it's very new agey, it's very elite, like, Mormonism, if you study the deep mysticism and the deep ordinances like you do, it's very similar. There's obviously differences, but I would say Mormonism is like training for the Olympics. Like, it's hardcore. You're not allowed to smoke or drink. You're not allowed to drink coffee. Like, yeah, it seems really intense, but it's even intense new agers or spiritualists, they're like, yeah, I don't drink coffee. Or,
Yeah.
they are actually living those things because it's a level of purity that connects you so potently with the Holy Spirit and God.
Yes.
Missionaries are living it, Buddhists are living it. Any extreme is wanting that purity and that deep connection. So, and I think that Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and I'm gonna go here,
Yeah. Yes.
the Mormon wives, which have gotten big, they are living out a divine purpose because they're showing people. I know that people, I'm going to get a lot of backlash because I have a lot of friends being like, that is not being a Mormon. But it is, because there is no certain way of being a Mormon. They're going through their own journey. I never knew, well, why can't I drink coffee, mom? Well, why can't we do this on Sunday? But as I'm getting older and going through my own journey, then I'm like, it actually does trigger my adrenal glands and it actually is not good for me. But there might be a time where there is a medicine of coffee and it is, I guess it opens up your pathways. My aunt's a nurse and she's like, actually, in the hospitals we would give people with asthma coffee because it opens up there. So it's not so black and white, but it's getting people to create new neural pathways and not be so narrow minded like our parents' generation, where Mormon wives is actually getting people to think differently globally.
Mhm.
You see Taylor Frankie Paul going on this gnarly journey, and then she's going to get therapy and help, and she's reading her scriptures, and she's going to church. She's like, I'm humbled. I'm humbled. Like, now there's a
Yeah.
deeper why. Now I want to know why. So I think these
Mm,
if we remove the extremes, it's all so beautiful because yes, they are trying to live a Mormon life, but at the end of the day, it's a Christed life. And a Christed life, yes, there are rules, but kids like rules because it keeps a simple, pure life to where they can stay childlike because what I've really learned is that freedom is commitment. Like
mm,
freedom is living in these certain guidelines. And it's paradoxal because people are like, I want freedom. I want to be able to do what you want. But then you're stressed out. Then you're stressed out. There's so many more portals you have to go through. There's so many more like decisions you have to make. It ages you. That's why you see Christians with this glow. It's because their life's so simple and it feels so good. So it's a sacrifice, but is it a sacrifice? Because it's so much more peaceful. So I like the Charlie Kirk stuff. I like the Mormon wives thing. I think it's getting people stirred up, and I think that's what we need. Because if we
yeah,
continue the way we go, there's so much judgment, and judgment is such a negative, it's so dense. And so
yeah,
I think God's creating these things and co-creating with these people to get people to wake up. I
yeah.
like it.
Yes. I love that. Something that came up when you're talking is this law of opposition that is out there that is so cool because you have these polarities. One of the main things is we are here as like fallen mortals is that we have these troubled times, this misery, but the deeper our misery and our trouble, the greater our capacity for joy. And I think so many people are living in that mediocrity level where they're not super happy, but they haven't had anything really trying them. And when you really live by that and look through your pain as your opportunity to grow and progress, that's literally where all this smile stuff was born out of. And I thought I was gonna go to the Olympics and do all of these things, and my life came crashing down. And then it was like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do? And then once I was able to kind of like leverage all of this pain, I am in a higher spiritual state than I've ever been before because of this pain that I went through. And so when you're able to see people go through that on reality TV and people like Charlie Kirk that wore their heart on their sleeve and were out there being warriors, it does something to you like, hey, maybe I can do that too. Hey, maybe I can disagree with these beliefs and these different things. And, maybe it's okay to question this or that, or maybe it's okay to do something a little bit differently. And so I think when I lived in Utah, that was something I just saw like everybody was just like here and everyone was just kind of the same. And so I think whether they're, considered Mormon or not, or super actively practicing, that represents a lot of people who are trying to figure this thing out. And sometimes when you're just born into something and you're raised a certain way, I think it's beautiful. I think your story is beautiful because you love to ask questions. You love to know things for yourself and you went your own way. And so now you know the depths of the other side of things and the new age things and you and always are so good at piecing things together from like here's a little bit of truth from here, here's a little bit of truth from here. And I think that's what elevates our perspective going, hey, there's no just one thing. There's all of these beautiful truths out there that everybody has a piece of. And so I think that's why I just love having these conversations because we do need to open up people's eyes. And at the end of the day, everybody has the moral agency to choose what they want to do with their lives and what they want to believe in. And I think everything's going to work out in the end, but we all have those specific missions as to what we're doing and what our path looks like and how we're going to reach out to different people. And at the end of the day, it is these beautiful principles and these beautiful laws that we've learned create happiness. And when you don't get tangled up in the little details. I've been one to ask questions, but I don't sweat the small stuff. There's so many things that I could be so concerned about, but my focus is on the experiences that I've had that are undeniable and my relationship with God. And I'm on my own journey. So maybe I'm here and other people are here, but what's my place to judge where someone else is at? And so I think it's beautiful that if we can all come together on some common ground, it's really, really powerful. And I think that can help diminish some of the violence diminish some of the bullying online. Why are we as Christians like poking at each other? Let's just all stand on the common ground that we have. And so I love that. And I love that in our friendship. And I love exploring new things because I've learned so much from you. And when we do have our differences and come back together, it has nothing to do with our actual friendship as people, but we enlighten each other in different ways and we learn and grow from each other. So, oh, it's just beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And the contrast that we have of like, I believe marriage is an initiation, especially, And so you got married before me. You got married around Jesus Christ. And so there was, because you have gone through these initiations that I have not yet, there are things that you have learned that I have not yet. So in ways we're both single, we're both dating, we're both going through all these traumatic things with dating. But then you go to here and I'm still in this single world and I'm having these certain beliefs, but you've come to realize certain things living in a marriage, which I have not yet. So that gap that was there, it took me time to get there and understand it, even though I haven't been married, but through dating, I learned to understand where you were at. And then I came to you and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm so sorry. And you're like, it's okay. Because you just kind of got to that frequency before me, but it's only with time. And that's where it's like, it's a very aligned friendship because you had the grace for me to get there. And then for me to be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it like that. And I came on so strong thinking this way. But I think, we're both such strong characters that we can be bold in what we think and what we're going to do. But we also, we're strong like the bamboo, but still flexible. But I could see that with you, and so there's
Yeah.
growth here. There's growth in this relationship. But there's this guy, he's the grandson of one of the apostles. And maybe someone in the audience knows. For some reason, the name's not coming to me. But my friend, he ended up really young, like leaving the church, even though his family's so in it. I wish his name would come
Yeah.
up. God, give it to me. But he went out and he traveled the world and he was studying Buddhism. Like he was very
Wow.
Buddhist. He was going
Yeah.
to all these monasteries and very much so became a meditation master. Then he went to, I think he was in India or somewhere, and he went to a temple, maybe a Catholic temple. And he's like, I walked in there. He has a book. I walked in there, I'll find it for you and give you guys the
Okay.
information, and something activated within me. And it's after traveling all in my teens and my 20s, I think he was in his late 20s, he's just like, I need I need to go home and I need to like this lifestyle. Because maybe he saw the depth, because he knew all the temple stuff, he knew all the church stuff here.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
took him the walk of Christ to travel and to experience his own things in his body to like align the mental and the emotional. It just clicked in his emotional body. And he's like, I see the depth and why it's a good thing. So now he hosts retreats for Mormons, non-Mormons to go meditate.
Wow. That's incredible. See,
Yep.
you have to have that different perspective. I feel like going to massage therapy school introduced me to energy work, which put me into I think, I was aware of some new age stuff, but I was like, "Oh, but that matches with this." And so I think we go on these journeys, and I think God also trusts us to be smart enough to figure it out in the end, listening
Yeah.
to our heart. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
McConkey. Something McConkey.
Oh, yes. Okay. And that's like deep lineage right there.
Yeah, it is.
That's so
And
cool.
have you heard of the 100 monkey theory?
No.
It's like this idea, it's been coming up a lot for me, but it's this idea of there's monkeys on an island and one of the monkeys chooses to start eating this or doing something differently than the other monkeys. So
Yeah.
that monkey starts doing it and then the monkeys on the same island start doing it. But then they had a study where they'd go to other parts of the world and the other monkeys were doing that now too. So
Whoa.
one monkey changed the matrix and the frequency all over the globe. So what I'm saying is very deep because the Charlie Kirk shooting, Mormon wives, those anyone who's doing something different is changing the collective identity. It's changing the matrix around the church. It's changing the matrix around the thoughts around the Charlie Kirk thing. Those monkeys, because they're choosing to do things differently, which is what I think a lot of the people in the Bible did and the prophets, they had the courage to do it differently and change the whole system, the whole matrix
Yeah.
frequency, right? Cool,
Wow.
huh?
Yes. So that's so cool,
So
and
it's
I
like
feel
science
that.
and spirituality and energy, it there is a big that's a big part of religion. Like there is so much energy. Even when I was going and studying Mormonism again, and I was so hesitant because I'm like, the culture is so nasty. There are people like, well, back in the day with Joseph Smith, like the women were very much so energy workers. They were doing energy work. They were having their herbs, like they were deeply connected with the earth. And I'm coming from the new age. I'm coming
Yeah.
with like I was a Wiccan for a minute and I'm just like
Yeah.
herbs and the earth. It's an embodiment of all of that. And so I think you and I get so disturbed by the culture,
Ugh.
especially us because we have so much depth. I've needed to be told why. I can't just be like, open up your scriptures and this is how we do it. I'm
Yeah.
not like that, dude. I'm an old soul. I need
Mhm.
more depth as to why. And I do have to figure it out on my own. So, but when you actually do start to live life and study and you don't judge your walk with God and it looks so unique and beautiful for everyone, it's it's pretty cool that when people embody their authenticity and their walk with Christ and they start doing things differently, it does start to collectively shift everything and everyone because they're like, wow, I didn't know someone could be so tattooed and meditate all the time, but they're still going to church. I had no idea. And
Right.
then it gives them energetic permission of, yeah, just be you.
Yes.
Just be you and do you. And you're walking with Christ. So whatever that looks like, it's perfect. The weirder, the better, actually.
Yeah. It's true. It's really true. And I think I view, like, the church as an organization, kind of just like this government policy, can change and all these things and these core truths like are supposed to say the same and they do. And I've seen things change, but I also feel like this fire from the experiences that I've had to create that change and to be different. And I remember when I was in Hawaii, like it was really crazy because I got asked to speak at this huge like women's, so the Relief Society, the Stake Relief Society. So that means all of this regional area for different congregations
I
when I was
remember
in
that.
Hawaii. Yeah, all these just young adults, right? I just been writing some stuff in my journal. I got a call. Hey, could you speak in a couple hours? And I'm like, yeah, I got it, And it's like all the stuff that God was giving me a download on. And one of the things that I really had to grapple with, and this is just part of this culture taking a shift and a change thing, was that I could not put my happiness in trying to find a husband. That did not ever feel good for me at all. And so when I developed a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ, that's how I came out of depression. I wasn't chasing these earthly things. So I got up there and I was just like, if you are trying to find happiness in chasing a husband, you are never going to find it. You need to focus on your relationship with God and Jesus Christ. Find your happiness within yourself. And I had so many people thanking me for this difference of opinion, like, oh my gosh, thanks for being so real. Thanks for doing this. And we have to have the courage to step up to make these changes. And I just was reading an article yesterday about like young people like feeling isolated, and I feel very, very connected to the young adults who aren't married. Like my heart is like with them because it is hard. It is so hard. It was a miracle that Jake and I found each other. And has it been challenging? Yeah, it's had this whole new, roller coasters. Marriage has not solved any of my problems. It makes life harder in certain ways. And so that should not be the goal. And this is kind of just this cultural analogy, right? And so now I'm seeing articles from the church that kind of went into how people are feeling isolated and like really lonely due to a lack of like genuine connection with other people. And I think it's just getting worse with technology. Um, I I'm trying to find the quote here. Emotional and spiritual intimacy are crucial prerequisites to many relationships, from true friendships to lasting marriage. Too often, this development is skipped or avoided because of distractions, discouragement, or fear. However, when we practice principles of true connection and build our relationships on Jesus Christ, we can set ourselves up for greater success, unity, and joy. And I'm like, where has this article been, my whole single life? And so they're starting to realize we got to focus on that. And that's a cultural shift. And that's just like basic mental, emotional health. And so when I've got the culture pushing marriage down my throat for all of my 20s, I've got God telling me, go back to school, get your education. And so that personal relationship with God is so crucial to be able to help change that culture as well. And get off my soapbox now, but that's like some of the things like people are craving this change and this realness.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you hit that point. And for me, I've always, since I was little, resonated with Native American spirituality and just how primal it is. Of they would gather around the fire, they would eat together, the woman would come together and weave the baskets. There's something, and so the Mormon church is, and maybe other churches too. I haven't really gone to them, but they do, there's Relief Society. Women need to gather and they need to
Mm,
talk. Okay. Men need
yeah.
to be like leading men and going through initiations of taking the men up on a week hike, and it's hard. And so for me, living in Hawaii, I just moved back, but I started going to church again in Hawaii because God sent me people who made it look different. And I didn't know it could look like this. I go to church.
Yeah.
There's so many people going in smelling like alcohol with their ears pierced, with dreadlocks. I'm like, this is so beautiful because I'm here on an island and I'm surrounded by people that think similarly. I'm humbled to a higher way of doing things. I'm not doing things because of my ego. I'm doing things because of God. And so I have these beautiful people around me, and we're just all there for the same purpose. And so being on an island, I feel like I need help moving. I'm going to call this person. Like there's support.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I really need a blessing and I need people to like help me, pray for me, fast with me. There's that community and support. But when we don't have that, no wonder the suicide rates are up.
Mm,
Like, yeah, you're over a screen and you're getting hit with all this dopamine, but you're in a lie. You're in a lie that you're feeling good because then right after you need to go eat pound cake. And then you need to like go like masturbate. And then it's
mhm.
just this constant perpetuating the fleshiness. But the spirit food is gathering, it's laughing, it's dancing, it's singing, it's creating, it's art, it's deep conversation, it's vulnerability. So it's like we wonder why society's sick. It's because we
Yeah.
need to get back to the primal roots of these things, right? So the Hawaiian Mormon church really opened my eyes to this is so beautiful and so necessary. And it amped up my fire of like, people gather, go to
Yeah.
church. And if your church isn't cool like that, then be the one monkey that shifts everything. Be the one to create that change, and it will affect everyone. On some level, subconsciously, consciously, you'll be the leader in that way. So step into
Totally.
your leader role because I think a lot of people are leaders,
Yeah.
especially, us, but it's like we need to have the courage to step into it with confidence. And God sent me here, literally,
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
tatted, to be different, to be loud, to be proud, to be bold. But, obviously there's like, even though my upbringing was like this and it was a lot of suppression and it was a lot of judgment and that was a dumb question, your grades weren't good enough, parents putting your voice down, we need to rise above that, invest in ourselves, go to therapy, do the self work so we can show up how God intended us to, because
Yes.
that's why we're on the planet. It's like you have a mission. For those who are like me and you, I know I have a mission. I've always known that. It's just a matter of time and being like, God, give me the strength and give me the highest timeline. Give me the boldness. Give me everything I need to be this person that you want me to be. Because I get crippling anxiety and low self confidence when I'm not being who I know I can be. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still grace given, like, give yourself grace because maybe God's like, your time's not up because you need to learn these, like, lessons with these people and these situations, and then you'll get there, so chill, you're on your way. But if you have any resonance with what I'm saying right now, is if you know you've always been the black sheep, embrace being the black sheep because you are the changer of the matrix and the systems. And they're crumbling right now because people are choosing Taylor Frankie Paul. One day I want to get her on my podcast because she's doing that. She's doing it. She's very authentic. She's very honest. She can own her shit, but she can also call her shit out. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that, and I think maybe we can kind of just wrap up on that is, like, don't be afraid to be that one to make changes, and it's kind of that old adage, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," and it is scary. I'm with you, when I am not living and speaking like this, like, I get depressed so quick. I feel that's, like, God's signal for me to be like, "Hey, you know what you're supposed to be doing, just go do it," and then I have so much energy. Like, I have so much more energy, like, right now than I did,
Yeah.
half hour ago. So it's energizing, and I think the community part is so crucial, and so I have kind of built this community even though I don't know these people, but certain podcasts and things, I feel energized by other people doing that same thing, and so I hope that we can be that spark for other people to be like, "Hey, I need to go do this. I need to go, be that different." Or, "Oh, I've had this in my heart to do this for a long time." Go do it. You will feel so much relief and happiness and joy. And so I think that's what I'm doing on this podcast with you right now is like, hey, God told me to get back on the mic. And so here I am. Help me. I need some help, And it's just, I got my soul sister here, and life is just, it's beautiful when you step into that.
Yeah, it is. And for me, I found that I get an analysis paralysis when I'm not in momentum or actually doing the thing. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just getting in my head. But then when I actually get on the mic or start the thing, then God's just flowing through me. And I'm like, why was I overthinking that? Literally. Like, why did
Yeah.
I give it that much energy of overthought when every time it just flows?
Yeah.
We just channel, like, God's just guiding it. We're just being vessels for God to run through, like conduits. And it's like, I forget that. Get out of your own way, Paige. Literally, get out of your own way.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And I think my prayer is that I can just be this conduit to spark whatever the spirit, God, the universe is telling you in your soul that you need to do to just go act on that. And, good thoughts lead to good things, and, go after it, and don't be afraid. It is really scary. It is really scary sometimes to step into doing something different, but if you're getting these like thoughts that are just like prodding you, once you, like, kinda go fulfill those things, just there's so much joy that comes after it, and I think that's, for me, how I know I'm, like, on the path and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because that joy is the reward for, like, "Alright, yep, you're you're being obedient to what I'm trying to tell you to do," even though it's been 6 months or, whatever it is, and it's just it's an undescribable feeling. It's so great.
Yeah, it is. And I like the quote, faith without works is dead. Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
like that one because it definitely shed a light of like, oh, well, I have a lot of faith, but it's like, do you? Because are you putting yourself out there? And for me, I can be so hard on myself. So so then when I actually do it, it turns out better than I thought it would, or I give myself credit for. So I think it's like, look, we are of God, so trust that even if it looks messy, it's pretty badass.
yeah, yeah,
So
agreed.
just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be messy, and it's okay. It's just crazy. We met in what, 2018, and we've, like, always talked about, it's just to see our journeys and have our lives be all over the place in different ways, but to be able to come back gosh, we totally met. And, I was only in Hawaii for a little bit. And I believe it was more so to meet people like you than it was to finish school because I didn't even finish school out there. So it's just crazy, follow those urges. And yeah, faith is an action word because God can't do anything with you if you're not moving your feet. You have to, you can be on your knees praying all day crying. The answer might be in the room next door. You got to get up and go find it. So that's what I love about you, man. You're so good at just following that intuition, just on a whim, and it takes a lot of courage. So I admire that about you, and it inspires me to want to do the same.
Thanks. Well, I do feel the same about you. I feel like you do the same too. Well, it doesn't make sense why I'm going to massage school or moving back and like, you do the same. So thank you
Hmm.
for seeing that because I feel the same about you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. It's so
Yeah.
so fun. Okay, anything else? I know that I think you have to go, but anything yeah, anything else you want to leave with?
I guess what I would want to end it with is trust your hearts. If there's something that's always in the back of your head or is always there in your heart, trust it that it's from God and use that to co create with God to bring it into manifestation. Trust it and ask for help, ask for guidance, and trust yourself that it will be done because God's wanting to co create with you something better than you can even imagine. So if you're in a position where you're so uncomfortable and you don't like your life, follow that like a tunnel vision, put all your energy into it because it's your destiny and it's your path. Trust it and have faith in it and just one step at a time. Let God be your CEO. Like be in that connection with God. Like this business is going to be or whatever this mission, this fulfillment, this desire is going to be accomplished in the most amazing way because I do have the best partner on the planet and in the cosmic God
Mm,
and allow yourself to live a completely different life than what you're living now because it's there for you and it's knocking on your door. You just got to open it.
I love that. I love that. And what you described is literally what SMILE stands for. To be spiritually minded is life eternal. And when we are lined up and paired up with God, truly nothing is impossible, and I truly truly believe that. So thank you so much for hopping on with me today, and I love you so much, and I hope to see you in person really soon.
I know I'm going to come visit. This was fun. Let's do more of this because this is just too good. It's too fun. I
Yeah,
feel
I
so
know.
like lit up right now.
I know, me too. We could go for 2 more hours, so this won't be the last time we'll have Paige on here. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Love you guys. Bye.